49ers defensive line is one of the most dominant and complete position groups in the NFL. They have every type of pass rusher who can play every position and make every play. This group has slowly been developing over 5 years, and in 4 of those years, the team has selected a first-round defensive lineman. When they added DeForest this offseason in a trade and drafted Nick Bosa, the line was elevated from bottom to elite. Last season, the 49ers only had 37 sacks, but this year, they've matched that number in just 9 games, good for second in the NFL. They're first in forced fumbles, they've allowed the fewest passing yards and fewest passing first downs in the league, teams can't score on them, move the chains against them, and can't hold on to the ball to save their lives. We'll go through each one of the 4 first-round draft picks, and you too, D, to evaluate how elite this pass rush truly is. They mix in slants, stunts, loops, twists to confuse defenses, and their scheme creates advantageous one-on-one matchups. A defensive line stunt is when 2 pass rushers, usually defensive linemen, switch assignments or gaps. There will always be a penetrator, which in this video will make yellow, and a looper, which will be blue. The penetrator will always go first to penetrate the offensive line to create space. Here, it's DeForest Buckner. He's going to cross the face of the left tackle and crash into the left guard's inside shoulder so that Bosa can loop around. The penetrator's main objective isn't to sack the quarterback. He's trying to draw 2 offensive linemen so the looper can have a free path to the quarterback. Offensive linemen usually have a one-on-one assignment. The left tackle is coached to pass Buckner off to the guard, but the tackle stays with his man and over-pursues inside. The guard is so focused on Bosa, he gets absolutely crunched in the left ear hole by Buckner. The guard sees Bosa, the looper, flash his hands. This occupies the left guard and prevents him from paying attention to the penetrating Buckner. Since Buckner draws in both linemen, Bosa has an open alley to speed through. The play is primarily schemed for Arik Armstead to have a one-on-one matchup against the right guard, and the stunt is used to contain Jameis in the pocket. Bosa is initially lined up in the weak side A-gap to the right of the center, which is not by accident. At the snap, he begins the loop to the other side. Bosa is lined up over the center, who has to account for Bosa rushing him head-on. This schemes the center away from helping the right guard against Armstead. The center has no one to block and is essentially taken out of the play. Armstead releases outside to get the guard into space and off balance. Armstead drops his hips, gets incredible leverage by driving his hands up and into the chest plate of the guard, then rips inside and finishes for a sack. This well-schemed attack frequently takes an offensive lineman out of the play and doesn't allow him to double-team a pass rusher. DeForest Buckner is a versatile weapon who can play anywhere in the defensive line. To get him a one-on-one matchup, the 49ers put their 4 first-round defensive linemen with linebacker Fred Warner on the line of scrimmage. They often use Warner to force the center or guard to account for him. Usually, the center shifts to his left or right to the stronger side of the pass rush to help double team, but with Warner on the line, he can't do that. This gives each of the 4 linemen one-on-one matchups, so it's time to eat. Buckner attacks the outside shoulder of the left guard. If the guard knew that he did have center help from inside, he could have cheated over to where Buckner was attacking. Buckner uses a chop club move on the guard. He shows his left arm early to bait out the guard's hands so that he can chop the inside arm down, then club the shoulder to get around him. Buckner's chop actually misses the arm, but his club, the second part of the move, is absolutely devastating. His footwork looks a lot like Nick Bosa's. As he clubs the guard's outside shoulder, he simultaneously carries his left leg through his body to square himself to the quarterback, which helps roll his hips to his target. With that club move, he gains so much ground away from the guard, he has an incredible amount of space to work up to attack the quarterback and finish for the sack. Adding DeForest to this pass rush concoction was crucial. With all this power, the line needed some speed. Ford has 2 devastating moves he uses as a punch and counterpunch. His speed rush is his primary move, and it's one of the best in the game. The Rams are petrified of Nick Bosa, so they slide protection towards him to double team him. This creates one-on-one matchups for the rest of the line, though really, each one of them needs to be doubled. The 2 tackles, Buckner and Armstead, are running a TT stunt. Each T stands for tackle. Armstead will go first as the penetrator so that Buckner, the looper, can have an open gap to work through. The stunt compresses the interior of the pocket and doesn't allow for Goff to step up to evade Ford. Look at how quickly Ford gets off in his speed rush. He is the first off the ball. The tackle starts with his normal kick step to get outside, but then immediately gives that up and literally turns around to sprint after Ford. The running back is supposed to chip, but Ford is so fast around the outside, the running back has nothing to do. You hear about a pass rusher's bend a ton. Ford is going to bend downwards so that the tackle will have difficulty getting his hands on him. You can see that Ford is so quick, his chest isn't exposed to the tackle's hands. Ford rolls his hips towards the quarterback. If his hips were pointed too far outside, it would be easier for the tackle to put his hands on him and push him outside of the pocket and away from the play. If Ford's primary move is his speed rush, then what's to stop the tackle from oversetting and cutting off the outside? To isolate Ford one-on-one with tackles outside, the 49ers will blitz Fred Warner, which sacrifices a man in coverage, but ensures one-on-ones for each lineman and simultaneously creates space for a defensive line stunt. Blitzing Warner to the outside of the left guard, this pulls the guard out of the A-gap to create space for the stunt. The nose tackle, Salomon Thomas, is the penetrator, and DeForest Buckner is the looper. This is called a nut stunt, which is hilarious, and named for the nose tackle penetrating first, then the tackle is the looper. This condenses the pocket and also shuts off running lanes. While the play is designed for Buckner to scream inside on the stunt, Ford uses his counter move off of his speed rush, which is called speed to power. When Ford aligns in the wide 9 technique, he's so far outside, the tackle has to move lightning quick just to cut off the angle. This is a horrendous rep from the tackle. He's so scared of Ford's speed rush that he leaves himself susceptible for everything else. He drops straight backwards to try and contain the corner and is so worried about the edge, he doesn't even get his hands up, which leaves his chest completely exposed. You can see Ford is adapting to whatever the tackle is doing. He starts with his speed rush, but when he sees the tackle cheating outside, switches to his speed to power move and blasts the outside shoulder. Speed to power is essentially starting with your speed rush, then if you can't get the angle, using that accumulated speed you've built to powerfully bull rush the overset offensive lineman. Though Ford gets the sack, you can see why a stunt might fail. It prevents a running quarterback from taking off immediately because of the chaos of the stunt, but then might provide a running lane when nobody is covering the gap. If Ford's speed to power move didn't pay off, Murray might have been able to escape. But this defensive line is so fast that quarterbacks never have the chance to get outside the pocket. Many of Nick Bosa's biggest plays come when the coaching staff schemes him into one-on-one matchups. They'll use Warner as a strategic chess piece. He can force teams into putting only one lineman on Bosa. The 49ers force the offensive line to slide to their right to account for the 3 defensive linemen and Warner. Before Warner drops into coverage, he steps towards the line. The left guard has to account for this and slides with him. This leaves the left guard in bad position for Buckner's loop to the B-gap, and also leaves Bosa one-on-one with the left tackle. A couple episodes ago, I broke down Bosa's side scissors move, which he can use to the inside or the outside. If he's going to the inside, he will start with a power step to the outside, then jump inside and swipe the tackle's hands away. That's why the tackle can't be too overcommittal when Bosa starts to move outside. The lineman is using a low hand technique to counter Bosa's inside or outside side scissor swipe. Bosa has been coached since college that when he sees a lineman's hands low, the lineman's chest will be exposed for a bull rush. Every technique for every position, on offense or defense, has positives and negatives, but Bosa adapts his moves mid-play to the lineman's technique, which is why he is so hard to defend. Since the lineman is practically guessing where Bosa is going to go at this point, Bosa can bull rush by getting under the tackle's pads, lift him off his feet, and easily get around him. When offenses get burned by Bosa and shift their attention towards him, the 49ers coaching staff and defensive line use that to their advantage. 2 plays later, the tackle has just gotten served by Bosa's bull rush, so that's when he comes back with the side scissors. But instead of a normal side scissors move, Bosa is the penetrator on an ET stunt or end tackle stunt, and Buckner is the looper. The tackle tries to flash low hands to bait Bosa into bull rushing and then attacks Bosa's chest, but that plays right into Bosa's side scissor move. The tackle doesn't want to expose his chest for Bosa's bull rush, so he tries to get Bosa's chest. Once the tackle brings out his arms, Bosa is going to use both hands to swipe them away. The move beats the tackle so quickly, he follows Bosa to seal the inside. But once again, this plays into Bosa's plan. His job is to penetrate the inside gap to bring both linemen inside so he can spring Buckner. The left guard sees Buckner looping, so he's ready for Bosa, but the tackle can't see what's happening in time. Buckner executes the loop part of the ET stunt perfectly and gets a free rush on the slippery Kyle Allen. Bosa is on cleanup duty and easily takes down Allen for his second sack in 2 plays. The fourth first-rounder, Salomon Thomas, is the least successful of the bunch, but is valuable as a rotational lineman who can play both inside and outside. Offensive coaches will tell you if you want effective play action, you have to pull a guard to make the defense think run. Linebackers are taught that based off the movement of the guards, that'll tell them if it's pass or run. The New England Patriots often pull guards on play action to create effective holes in the second level of the defense, but here, it dooms the Rams. The 49ers have been slanting their defensive line all game. This is when defensive linemen cross the face of the guard and jump over one gap. Defenses usually do this to defeat zone running schemes. However, the Rams are running play action trap, where they'll reach block to the backside and let Arik Armstead free so they can trap him with that pulling guard. Thomas will slant across the face of the left guard, and Buckner will slant across the face of the right guard. On paper, this play should work well for the Rams and their offensive line, but Thomas is no ordinary defensive tackle. His slant across the face of the center is so quick that he hops into the open void vacated by the pulling guard, and the center can't reach block far enough. The moment Goff hits the final step of his drop, Thomas blasts him into the turf. Every team runs stunts, twists, and slants, but what makes the 49ers so good is their versatility. Any player can come from anywhere. Bosa might line up at nose and Buckner at defensive end. Buckner and Armstead could be tackles with DeForest and Salomon Thomas at ends, and Fred Warner is effective pass rushing and as a decoy. The speed, length, and fluidity of this defensive line is what truly stands out. Each player is so dynamic, when the 49ers blitz 4, it feels like 5. When they blitz 5, it feels like 6. That's not only because of how good the defensive line is, but the scheme and coaching as well. The 49ers have been building a monster, and now that it's complete, that monster is unleashed on the rest of the league. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe so you can catch future videos. A huge shout out to the new Patreon supporters this week. By signing up, you get my exclusive picks where I'm 13-7 since I started a few weeks back. Just got to buy some new headphones with that money. But anyways, it's not just picks. I post daily, whether it be play diagrams, coaching articles, or really just anything football. So to my Patreon supporters, you supporting me is incredible, and for us to be growing like this is just awesome. So, alright, that's it. Until next Saturday, see ya.